I went to Fort Dix. They take you on they pick you up at the airport, a whole bunch of you, put you on a bus, take you to Fort Dix. They park, you get off the bus, they start screaming at you. To drill sergeants, they're just trying to get you in formation. You're still in civilian clothes. They're yelling at you, calling your names, and they're really intimidating. They're just busting your ass, And so, and then that's what it's like, 8 weeks of the same thing. They really wear you down. I don't think they can do today what they did then, how they treated people, and they really treat you like dogs, what they do is they just tear you right down. And they get you up 5:30 in the morning. You do calisthenics, you go to eat, you do more, you go to classes, you go to the range, you do this, and they just keep you going. And you can't leave the post, you can't do anything for 8 weeks. They own you, and they're just trying to get complete control out of you. That's what they want to do. But a few things that happened was they test you, they give you all kinds of tests, and they actually offered me helicopter school, pilot school, because the way I tested, plus I had 20/20 vision. So they guaranteed me that if I wanted to, I could go to helicopter school. So me and another guy signed up for it, but after basic, we changed our mind, said we'll just do our 2 years, because if I did that, it would have been another 3 years of service. So I said, I'll go in and get it over with. Because back then, like I probably mentioned, if you got drafted, you did 2 years. If you enlisted, you did at least 3. But if you enlisted, you got to pick your job, what you wanted to do for a job. When we flew into Cam Ranh Bay, and it was like in the middle of the night. And I remember getting the plane opened up, walked down a gangplank, and it was humid, hot, and smelled like nothing I've ever smelled before. It wasn't a bad smell. It was just a smell I'd never had before. And they loaded us on these cattle cars, which are big buses and they took us through a gate, and we're like out in the middle of nowhere, and I was scared. I was dark, and we didn't have any weapons, and it seemed like we were out in the middle of nowhere, and I was really scared. And then they pulled us in a big place and gave us a barracks, and then the next day they just processed us, took some paperwork, and then they sent us. I got assigned. That's when I was assigned to the 1st Cav. So then they put me on a plane and sent me up to An Khe, which was up in the northern part. And when I got there, that's when they trained us for a couple of days on how to rappel, and then, but it was strange because that's when I met my friend Harbottle, and we were waiting to go out in the field, and originally they signed us to B Company, and overnight B Company, or Charlie Company, got hit with friendly fire from a naval ship and killed a bunch of guys.
Where was this?
Where
was this?
This is up and around An Khe. And so Charlie Company got hit. They were called in. They were in a village, and they called for backup fire from the naval vessel. And 2 of the big rounds landed right in the company. Killed a bunch of guys, wounded a bunch of guys. So overnight, they changed us from Bravo Company to Charlie Company because they needed people. So that's how I ended up in Charlie Company. And we got there, and they put us, next morning, they put us on a helicopter with a bunch of ammo and food and sent us out to Charlie Company. And that was terrifying because the first time I'd been on a helicopter, and you're just sitting in that helicopter, and it's flying maybe 40 feet off the ground, staying low, and you're out in the middle of nowhere. You're just going over Vietnam in a helicopter, and that was that was scary, you know.
You never know.
And then I got to the company, and they had just witnessed a terrible tragedy, and so they were like zombies, you know, and
Because of the friendly fire?
because of that, yeah, they just lost a bunch of their friends, and you know, and they were. It took 2 or 3 days before they even hardly acknowledged us, you know, and but they just kept on going, doing what they regular do, you know, because they had taken all the bodies and evacuated the wounded and stuff, but that was weird. That was a weird situation, you know. It felt weird, but.
Do you remember the details of the company name or like all the what?
Well, we were Charlie Company, 2nd of the 5th. They call it 1st Cavalry Division, and there was there was well, there was 5th Cav, and then there was a sister Cav, the 7th Cav, which was original, were from Custer's old unit, you know. So, but we were Charlie Company, and C25. Charlie, 2nd of the 5th. There's stuff on the internet about our company and what we did, and a lot of some of the battles and stuff. A few of the people wrote books about it. Actually, there was a Lieutenant Estep. He wrote a book about it. I heard about him. I didn't know he was one in the wound. I think he lost a foot during that barrage, and he wrote a book about it. I never did. I think I did read the book. Yeah.
What were your expectations of Vietnam, and what was the reality? Reiterate the beginning of that.
I had no expectations. I was just going to take it as it comes, and the reality was about what I expected, worse than I expected. But I mentioned a few times that, like, going out there and stuff, I was afraid, but I didn't have much fear in Vietnam. That's what really surprised me.